Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. So here we have two phones with two interesting form factors, the DoubleTime and the DoublePlay. They both use dual display technology. So we're starting to see a lot of new form factors in smartphones these days, and between these two, which one is best, and then between these two phones, which one is better. That's what we're going to talk about in this dogfight. Before we start, I had to say thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for sending us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game. The great thing about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is a price you pay. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. It's a dogfight between the Samsung DoubleTime and the LG DoublePlay. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's get started. Okay, so here we have two different devices with kind of similar form factors, but at the same time, different in their own way. They both feature dual screen technology. So on the right we have the DoubleTime, and on the left we have the DoublePlay, and I just know I'm going to get those names mixed up at some point during this video. So if I happen to call the DoublePlay the DoubleTime, you can understand why. Both of them are unique to the smartphone world. We haven't seen smartphones like this before, and so the question is, which one is more practical? Basically, if this is the future, which technology would you rather have? So first, we'll get right into that, and then we'll compare them just as phones in terms of performance and different things like that. So about these two different implementations of having a secondary display. With a DoubleTime, it's very straightforward. You have your external display, which you can use for basically anything, whatever you want to do, and then you have the internal display, which again you can use for anything. So if you never want to use the external display, that's fine. You can use the internal display for virtually everything. They are both the same size. It's a 3.5 inch, I believe, a 3.2 inch display, resolution of 320 by 480. So nothing really impressive there in terms of the resolution or the quality of the display, but still it's very straightforward. Like I said, it's you could use the entire phone in landscape mode with this internal display. With a DoubleTime, it's implemented a little differently, so we'll go into a little more detail about that, and then we'll talk about which one is more practical, which one is more useful. So you have this external display. It's a 3.5 inch display, again resolution of 320 by 480, so again nothing really impressive there in the spec department. But with the secondary display, you can see you have shortcuts here. So we have shortcuts for messaging, group text, music, photo, browser, email, and then we can add two more. And so we have options for Rich Note, Calendar, and then Social Plus. So I'm going to add Rich Note and say I want to add Calendar. And those were some instructions, but I'm just going to tell you how it works. So the point of this secondary display is to make multitasking very simple and very easy. And I'm going to say multitasking because I know you guys get on to me about saying multitasking, so I'm going to say multitasking just to make you happy. So it's supposed to make multitasking very simple and easy, and it does. So let's say, for example, that I'm checking my email. And I'm going through and seeing what emails I have, and then maybe I get a text message. If I get a text message, a little 1 or a 2 would pop up here, much like it has the number here for the number of new emails I have. So say I get a text message, I don't want to leave, or maybe it's not convenient to leave. I can just select the messaging app, and then if I had a new message, that's what would show up here. Or I can just compose a message. I can compose it, type whatever, hello, send it, and then never have to leave the email. Or say I'm reading this text message and it's kind of a little more important, I want to focus on a little bit more, I can click the arrow to move it up to the main display. This can also be used, say I'm listening to music, or I'm watching a video, maybe on YouTube I'm watching a video, or I'm using Twitter, and while I'm doing that I want to send a text message, or I want to send an email. I can easily do two things at once, one on the main display and then one on the secondary display. This also comes into play whenever I'm using the web browser. So you can see when I went to the web browser, it automatically opened up my bookmarks, so I can flip through and see the bookmarks that I have, or I can add a new window and say I want the secondary window to be Google. So now I can go back and see the windows that I have open. So, for one, multitasking, but also just, in certain apps like the web browser and email, it also just adds some easy functionality. So that's basically a general way of how this secondary display is implemented. And again, you can watch the review for more in-depth look at this. But basically, it's very simple. It's a very novel idea, and it is actually very practical. And then, of course, with the DoubleTime, you can see the obvious usage cases, and both of them can be very useful. So, but that's just a quick look at, the different form factors and what they offer you in terms of functionality. Now, let's take a look at these phones as just simply phones. Maybe the DoubleTime, the DoublePlay. See, I did it. I told you I would. Maybe the DoublePlay has this better secondary display, but what about overall as a phone? Well, they're both, basically mid-range to low-end phones. The DoublePlay, which is this one, like I said, 3.5-inch display, so it's a little bit larger than the 3.2-inch display. And I can tell you from experience, you're definitely going to notice that. When web browsing, it doesn't seem like there's that much of a difference between 3.5 inches and 3.2 inches in terms of, viewing a page. But really, there is. If we go to phonedog.com, you can see pinch to zoom on the DoublePlay, pretty smooth. And this is with the page still loading. I have flash content is loaded. It's not loaded yet, but it is turned on. The DoublePlay has a 1 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, and then the DoubleTime has a 600 megahertz Qualcomm processor. Obviously, if you look at the numbers, the DoublePlay is definitely going to have much better performance, and you can see that here. Again, the page isn't even loaded yet, and pinch to zoom is pretty smooth. Once the flash content is loaded, that might be a little bit different. Then if we go here, still smooth. You can see scrolling, hardly any problems there. And then, when I zoom in, that's kind of when it starts to have some problems. You have checkerboarding. I didn't mean to click on a link. You have checkerboarding, and then for some reason it keeps thinking I'm selecting something. And it's just a little choppy. So yeah, performance is definitely much better with the DoublePlay. It's obvious. You can see that right there. And then again, like I said, having that larger display, it does make a difference. Now let's take a look at the front here. We'll talk about, they're both obviously Android devices, you can see that. The DoublePlay ships with Android 2.3, and if you can believe it, the DoubleTime actually ships with Android 2.2, which I think is ridiculous. And I don't know if or when the DoubleTime will get 2.3. I doubt it. Although, I'm surprised that it ships with 2.2 to begin with, so, who knows, they may surprise me and, send 2.3 to it. But for the time being, the DoubleTime, excuse me, I did it again, the DoublePlay has a huge advantage, shipping with Android 2.3. It adds a lot of new features, and also just, aesthetically speaking, in terms of, certain color schemes, that you'll notice. It may be subtle, maybe the average consumer won't notice that, but I think, for Android enthusiasts, we will notice it. Just little effects like that. Those are some of the things that you get with Android 2.3 that you don't get with 2.2. And of course, there are some added features as well. Both of them you can see look different because they both ship with a custom skin. LG has included its custom UI on top of Android, and then Samsung has included its custom UI on top of Android. Samsung's UI is called TouchWiz. LG's UI is, I don't really know what it's called. We don't have a name for it. We just call it LG's UI. And you can see they're similar in a lot of ways. We have a dock at the bottom for calls. This is for email, browser, and then the app drawer, or you have calls, contacts, messages, and again, the app drawer. You can customize these shortcuts, so that's a nice feature to have. If we go to the notification bar, you can see, again, similar features, but just aesthetically, it's a little bit different. And then if we go to, for example, add a widget or a shortcut or whatever, you can see the method is very different. So one more look at another difference here in the app drawer. You can see on LG's UI it's divided into categories. Now we only have 2 categories right now, but I could easily, add a category, move apps around between categories. If you don't like that, which I personally don't, you can change it to page view, which is basically the way that TouchWiz looks all the time. You can't customize this app drawer. So that's just a quick look at, you know, some of the differences between the UI, but obviously, like I said, the DoublePlay shipping with 2.3, that's a huge advantage for the DoublePlay.